Hello, everybody. My name is Szydlowski, and I will be presenting on using bioremediation for in situ denitrification of nitrate in groundwater. So nitrate is one of the most common groundwater pollution problems on the planet and can therefore lower the quality of drinking water. Some best management practice remediation techniques are currently put into place, but they take several years to actually lower the concentration levels of nitrate. So short-term remediation practices are useful in lowering those nitrate levels on a more local scale and quicker. So two past studies done in 2014 and 2022 at Woodstock, Ontario, Canada, as seen in Figure 1, sought to stimulate natural denitrifying bacteria and therefore determine the success of denitrification in a local aquifer of heterogeneous nature, which we can see in Figure 2. It has layers of sand and gravel. So to induce denitrification, a carbon source must be introduced into the system. And in this instance, a pulsing cross-injection system was used to inject the carbon source, which in this instance was acetate, into the subsurface, where it is then pumped perpendicular to groundwater flow, which we can see in Figure 3. Figure 4 just shows the setup on the surface between the injection well and the pumping well. So because it's a pulsing injection system, pulses of that acetate is injected, and longitudinal dispersion mixes those plumes and therefore forms a zone of remediation. And within that zone, that nitrate is being converted to dinitrogen gas. So to better understand the success of denitrification in the aquifer, hydrogeologic parameters were measured to gather values for the seepage velocity and hydraulic conductivity. It was found typically that layers of sand had a lower seepage velocity and hydraulic conductivity, while the sand and gravel layers had a higher velocity in K. And these zones of low and high velocities were found to be directly correlated to the success of denitrification within the layers, which we can see in Figure 5, where having those sandy layers have your higher denitrification and your more gravel layers having that minimal denitrification. So nitrate success at each depth within the aquifer varied based on the hydrogeology of the aquifer, but also due to the constraints of these studies. So Figure 6 shows the denitrification levels for the first study done at 2014 at location 7, where the nitrate levels were monitored after a single injection over a time of a few hours. For depth locations 2, 5, and 6, moderate to high denitrification was observed, and these depths were in layers of low velocity and low hydraulic conductivity. Depth locations 3 and 4 had minimal denitrifications, and the concentrations were not brought below the regulatory level, which is depicted by that gray line. These depths were the ones that correlated with the layers of higher velocity and higher hydraulic conductivity. Figure 7, on the other hand, shows the denitrification levels for the second study, which was done more recently. And the findings from the 2014 study aided in altering the parameters for this study so that more success of denitrification may be seen. The carbon to nitrogen ratio was increased, so more of that acetate was introduced into the subsurface, and the time frame was extended from a few hours to 50 days using that pulsing injection method. So data from locations 5 and 7 show that the increase in ratio and time frame had more of a success in denitrification in all the depths, although the same principle still applies where the depths with the lower velocities and lower hydraulic conductivities were more successful in denitrification. It should be noted that the location 5 is closer to the injection point than location 7, and it can be seen that in location 5, the layers of higher velocity have slightly less successful denitrification, which imply that the extent of longitudinal dispersion and that further distance from the injection source provides better denitrification zones. Overall, these studies found that cross-injection systems work for short-term remediation. However, the success of denitrification was not uniform throughout the entire aquifer. This success was primarily contingent on the hydrogeology, which is commonly a factor given relatively little attention. So based off of these past projects, future work seeks to upscale the cross-injection system to accommodate the entire Woodstock municipal water supply through the use of a reversible injection withdrawal system, which is shown in Figure 8. One pulse of the carbon source will be introduced into one set of the wells, for example, at the blue dot, and pumped perpendicular to groundwater flow through the red dot. Once that first pulse goes through, the second pulse will have reversed system where the source will be injected into the red dot or that opposite well and then pumped through the other one. And this is just to ensure that there are no gaps in the denitrification zone. Thank you all so much for listening to my presentation. Please enjoy the rest of your day.